Vladimir Putin's State of the Nation address has sent parts of the media into a frenzy, accusing Russia of Cold War-era posturing. During the speech, the president showcased the country's new strategic weapons, which he said could outsmart all existing missile defenses.
The White House and the country learning of that new threat from Russian President,
warning his adversaries, and in the West in particular, not to mess with Russia.
Computer graphics of missiles flying over mountains and heading over oceans.
And he says he's not bluffing.
Though many saw the address as a threat directed at the United States, Moscow claims it has no intention of using its military might. The high-tech weaponry is intended only to preserve the global balance of power, as Murad Gazdiev reports.
If you aren't Russian, the first hour of Putin's speech would have been boring. Taxes and corruption, science and industry, that sort of thing. After that, though, it got real hot, real fast.
Russia is a major nuclear power, but basically nobody wanted to talk to us. Nobody listened to us. So, listen to us now.
Rockets, lasers, nukes. In a rush, Putin unveiled an arsenal of new weapons, bigger, faster, stronger, and deadlier than any that came before. The Sarmat Super Heavy ICBM, a 200-ton missile capable of penetrating any existing defense, in service at the end of the year. Next, an enigmatic new development, a seemingly nuclear-powered cruise missile. It flies extremely low to avoid detection and can hit almost anywhere in the world, says Putin. Up next,
it's just fantastic.
An underwater drone submarine, also nuclear-powered with a nuclear payload. It can reportedly lurk underwater for months and months, silent and nearly undetectable. Next, the avant-garde, the hypersonic missile, extremely fast rocket that can actively dodge and evade anti-missile defenses.
It is heading for the target like a meteorite.
To top all of that off, laser weapon systems, though Putin didn't go into details, saying only that it's still classified. The Russian president says all of this isn't to intimidate or scare anyone or invade anyone. These are serious weapons designed for one thing: restore and guarantee Russia's strategic power in an age where an ever-expanding NATO is trying to nullify it.
We have no plans and have never had plans to use this potential to achieve offensive or aggressive ends. Russia's enhanced military power is simply a guarantee for peace on our planet, for it preserves.
Restore parity in the world, show that there's no point in engaging in a senseless arms race. After all, mutually assured destruction has kept the world safe for the best part of a century.
Not everyone, though, buys President Putin's explanation of the thinking behind his speech. He was pressed about it in an interview with NBC.
Several analysts in the West have said this is the declaration of a new Cold War. Are we in a new arms race right now?
My point of view is the individuals who have said that a new Cold War has started are not really analysts. They do propaganda. If you were to speak about arms race, then an arms race began at exactly the time and moment when the U.S. opted out of the anti-ballistic missile treaty.
To stress his point that the new weapons serve only to balance the world powers, Putin pointed out that U.S. missile defense is already deployed in Alaska and in California. NATO's also expanding into Eastern Europe, with 2 sites having been set up in Romania and Poland. And new sites are soon to be established in Japan and South Korea. And apart from ground-based launch weapon systems, the U.S. complex also includes a naval component, meaning that right now, America has 5 Navy cruisers and 30 destroyer ships stationed right along Russia's eastern borders. Now, we spoke to several defense analysts who think the Russian president's speech was not intended as a threat.
It was defense, deterrence, competition and containment. No aggression, no thoughts of initiating a war, which is reassuring. The defense versus the offense in missile technology and anti-missile technology has probably reached a new phase with Putin's speech, and the Americans, even though they have known, at least in general terms, that these weapon systems are in the pipeline, will probably react with some surprise at the advanced stage in which they were unveiled.
These are not designed for warfighting. These are designed to send the very clear message that President Putin said quite clearly, which is that these systems are basically saying, if you mess with us, we will nuke you and we will not hold back. Now, that is a strategic statement. It's not a statement about escalating to de-escalating, which is what the Russians are often accused of and were accused of officially by the American government in the Nuclear Posture Review, which is indeed a dangerous doctrine, but it's not a real doctrine that the Russians have ever endorsed.